This is Nightline.
Tonight, bus to Washington. The Texas governor transporting migrants to the nation's capital, sending a message.
The president has not ever come to the border of Texas and has seen the chaos that he has caused.
But what many saw as a stunt is actually having unintended consequences.
Part of me said to myself, this is fantastic.
And inside one Texas border town, feeling the surge.
We've had multiple houses broken into multiple times.
Plus, sustainable fashion. Why what's in your closet could be harming the environment.
The fashion industry is one of the largest polluters on the planet.
The byproducts of popular fast fashion filling up landfills.
We end up having 90% of clothing that is thrown out well before the end of its useful life.
Now, just ahead of Earth Day, a rare glimpse inside efforts to make a difference. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Last week, Texas Governor Greg Abbott began busing migrants from his state to Washington, D.C., with the surge continuing at the southern border. As the politics of the governor's controversial actions play out, where are the people who are caught in the middle? Over the span of almost a week, bus after bus of people have just crossed the border from Mexico, arriving in the heart of the nation's capital. They've been sent here by Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who says he's sending a message to President Biden for what he calls the president's failure to secure the border.
Texas is tired of being the unloading dock for illegal immigrants crossing the border. The new unloading dock is going to be Washington, D.C.
The crisis at the southern border and the governor's controversial tactics, stoking the flames of the political firestorm around immigration policy. Tonight, how we got here. Through the eyes of the Texans feeling the surge.
Every time you pull up to a new broken window in the house or a new kicked-in door or a new stolen truck or a new hole in the fence, you're so mad about it.
And the people in the front lines of the crisis.
They are fleeing because they are afraid. And it is a fear that is very difficult for many of us in the United States to comprehend.
It all seems so simple. A bottle of water, granola bars, and cups of applesauce. Basic necessities making a big difference. Here in the heart of Del Rio, Texas, the small center is the first stop for many migrants who've just crossed the Mexican border. These asylum seekers are on their way to eventually reunite with family, friends, and sponsors as they wait for their asylum hearings.
Today, I have folks going to Pennsylvania, New York, Florida, California, and a few Texas cities. The underlying reason that I hear from migrants regarding coming to America is for a better life. It's hard to put into words, kidnapping and murders and raping, and it's unimaginable.
Border towns like Del Rio are an important landing spot, but have also become overwhelmed by the surge of migrants flooding into the U.S. In March, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol recorded more than 221,000 migrant encounters, the third highest number ever. The crisis at the border has helped catapult Governor Abbott to the national stage, with Abbott repeatedly taking aim at the Biden administration.
The president has not ever come to the border of Texas and has seen the chaos that he has caused. And if he's not going to come to the border, we're going to take the border to him.
So in the past week, Governor Abbott has sent at least 6 buses full of asylum seekers to D.C., all of whom volunteered to take the trip.
They experienced exactly what communities in Texas experience every single day.
Governor Abbott is quite angry about how President Biden has handled the border issues generally, and he's trying to respond with as dramatic an action as he can to try to literally drop as many migrants as he can at the doorsteps of Congress and of the White House. There are a lot of people in Texas that would rather see people in Washington, D.C. deal with these undocumented immigrants than people in their friends and neighbors in Texas.
But those opposed to the governor's tactics, including immigration advocates in the Biden administration, say this is all just political theater. As the first bus dropped off migrants at the doorstep of Fox News, NBC News, and C-SPAN. But there's been perhaps an unintended consequence to the governor's plan.
These are all migrants who have been processed by CBP and are free to travel, so it's nice the state of Texas is helping them get to their final destination.
Many who've taken the bus just thankful for the free ride.
Siento un alivio porque verdaderamente no tenía ni cómo moverme y gracias a ellos puedo llegar hasta Washington D.C. de una manera segura en un autobús privado y tengo una preocupación menos.
Some not even knowing who Governor Abbott is.
Pues la verdad no conozco muy bien porque no me he informado de eso, la verdad.
Do you feel like you're being used by Governor Abbott as part of a political stunt?
Pues la verdad no, para nosotros la verdad fue una ayuda.
Part of me doubted for political reasons. The other part of me said to myself, this is fantastic. It's fantastic that the governor is going to provide bus transportation at the state's cost and the meals that go with it as they travel to Washington, D.C.
Ruben Garcia is the director of Annunciation House, one of the largest immigrant shelters on the Texas-Mexican border.
What do you think that says that he's resorted to this measure, to putting people on buses to D.C.?
The real question that you should ask the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, is why don't you pass a comprehensive immigration reform bill that looks realistically at what is happening in terms of our immigration policy?
All this unfolding as the White House is set to roll back the Trump-era pandemic order known as Title 42.
It gives authority to the federal government essentially to turn back persons and property at the border in light of public health concerns. Title 42 was never intended to remake or rethink the asylum system. If that's the problem, then that should be something addressed to Congress to rework the asylum system.
But Title 42's impending rollback has many conservatives sounding the alarm over a potential influx of migrants coming over the border, even leaving some Democrats concerned. The Department of Homeland Security is now bracing for as many as 18,000 migrants per day at the southern border when Title 42 is revoked.
For those who would say, well, if we don't want to see a surge, then keep Title 42 in place.
Then I would say to them, go to Congress and pass the legislation that'll give you what you want. But do not use a pandemic provision as if you're doing this because of COVID when it doesn't have anything to do with COVID.
It's a sobering reality debated at the highest levels of our government, but it's experienced by only a few who see this land not just as land, but a way of life.
You tell them hi? Hi. You just truly feel freedom out here. There's just always something new out here, and I don't know, you can actually truly see the work of God.
Brothers Caleb and Cole Hill are many things. They're fathers, husbands, and third-generation cattle ranchers whose lives here on Texas's southern border reflect the virtues of life's simple joys.
My wife and little girl, they enjoy ranching. My little girl loves being out. Good job, girl. She loves being out, helping with the cows, feeding the horse, just being out here. Good job.
But Caleb and Cole say their small slice of Americana has been upended by crime they say that stems from a rise in illegal border crossings.
We've had multiple houses broken into multiple times. They break windows, they kick doors in.
Same for everybody out here. I mean, you never, ever would think that you would be a victim of any kind of crime with this lifestyle. But everybody has encountered it over the last year.
The brothers say it's been a costly ordeal, not just in their peace of mind, but in their wallets.
You're always working on something. Now, most of our time is pretty much consumed checking fences, making sure there's not holes cut in the fence for livestock to get out or for wildlife to get out, you know. It's just amazing how much damage they can do to a fence.
They place the blame squarely on the president. It's a situation that's quickly becoming a political Gordian knot for the Biden administration.
If you live in and around the U.S. border with Mexico, then these are not abstract issues. And to a lot of people, Democrats and Republicans, both in border communities, a surge in migrants means an uptick in social service spending, needing to deal with people that need jobs and housing, knowing that there could be other crimes committed along the way. It's a real issue.
The everyday refugee type person, there are absolutely a lot of just good, honest people who are just coming over here truly for a better life. We're so lucky that we've never had to, we have no idea what they're fleeing, right? To that mother, I say, I wish that we had an easier system in place for you to get here without having to go through the cartels.
There seems to be two unmistakable truths. Many migrants are fleeing dangerous conditions, desperately seeking better lives. But it's wreaking havoc for some Americans living close to the border. Up next, fashionistas beware how what's in your closet may be harming the environment. We're at the